And welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, to another recap review of Raising Kanan Season 3. We are on episode 3, and this one is called Open for Business. It's your boy Lucas with my guy Najir. What is going on with you this evening, sir?
What's up, Uncle Lou? Let's get into it tonight. Should be an explosive episode of things to cover.
Hey, nice, tired, raspy voice, sounding a little bit like Jada Kiss. We're going to get this together. And this one is written by Michael M. Chang, and it is directed by Bobby Kennedy. Not that Bobby Kennedy, but the Bobby Kennedy that's directing for Power. Got to always correct that. Just in case you think it's another Bobby Kennedy. He may be related to him. I don't know. That's a hell of a come up. That's a hell of a get if you get a Kennedy to do anything on your show. But let's jump quickly into this episode as it starts off as explosive as every episode this season has, as we get to see 1 hour photo Ronnie creep up on a security guard here that we saw him eyeing the entire time at the end of the last episode. What'd you think about this opening here of just the man, my man in security? He was just doing his job. He out there jump like they splitting up the night, like, you know what, we did a good job tonight, fellas. We all good. And then all of a sudden you hear that Michael Myers music kicking in, and this nigga pop out of nowhere.
They fooling now. They're having too much fun with this character, Ronnie. And I just bust out laughing just for him to end the scene with saying, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna get some jabojings now." I was dying. But yeah, he's on demon time, man, and we knew it. And this entire episode, you know, him just popping up and creeping around, it's going to be an interesting season with this guy. But he's completely on demon time, and you know, we knew he was going to give this guy that receipt for something he didn't even purchase. Like, this is definitely way out of hand here. There's no reason that he should still be in his feelings a whole day later. It is a whole day later. It's definitely not after the club. It's just another time. Well, it's something. Regardless, it should not be carried this long.
It is a whole day later. He had on the same outfit.
Oh, like, well then, yeah, it's probably it is after the club. Regardless, it's just
no. All he did was say, "Man, you can't get in dressed like that." And this dude took that as, "You gotta die. How dare you? How dare you talk about my cool it down sweater? Like, you got to die." It is an overreaction that we need to see from the character of Ronnie to understand his mindset, as we clearly see him doing his best Michael Myers multiple times in this episode.
Yeah, and let's talk about, like, my man just served time, and he clearly isn't afraid to get back out on these streets and do what he do. So I think the end of his arc is he going to take the route of, I'm not going back by any means. So with the block cop, with the feds, and with the police, and him just out here being Michael Myers, I mean, it might actually be Halloween Ends, where it's him versus the entire world, and somehow he wins. Because I still don't understand how that worked.
This is why
the whole movie to wreck that bad and they lost.
All he did was re-put on his mask and say, "Yep, all you niggas about to get it," and that was it. No one stop him. But here with Ronnie again, it makes it so interesting because of that reason. Like, now we realize how he got out of prison, and this is part of the reason why they say, 1, everybody can't be rehabilitated at all. 2, this is why that free my man to freeze backwards shit does not exist. It's certain people that need to be in jail. So Ronnie has shown every reason why he needs to be in jail. Like, he's the advocate for, like, jail works. Jail really works for something. But speaking of jail, speaking of things working here, I'm gonna see if I get his name right. Stefano.
Yeah, it's weird because it's because, like, there's very heavy New York accents involved, in Italian saying it and rock saying it one way. So I was calling him Stefano, which still could be entirely right, but it seems like it's Stefano from how you hearing other people say it. So at this rate now, nobody can come for us. We all know who we talking about here.
You said Stefano.
Steph
they
Curry.
Said Stefano. I said Stefano. Like, no matter what, it's Steph.
Yeah, fish man, the fish market. That's what we call him.
The big fish. That's what he said his
Big
nickname
fish,
is.
yeah,
The big fish.
Yeah.
As we see his spot get raided here by the feds, and it is raided because of what happened to Saul. Did you think we would get ramifications from Saul coming back on Stefano this fast?
No, and I'm glad they did though, because what this season is doing, what this season is doing really good, really early, is they're not dragging any of these things out. I think in other shows or even other seasons of Power, arcs such as the results of Sal's death, what are the ramifications of that, would definitely have lasted 5 to 6 episodes here. And the fact that the feds they were on the wire, they already knew what it was, they had the intel. And as I mentioned, we talked about it last week about them having the intel over all of the families, because it's in multiple people. And this is accurate, whether you want to speculate or not. We know it's accurate because it's historically accurate, that they know they've been tapping these Italians all the time. They still got to get them. They've tried numerous times, but they got to get them. So, the fact that they actually had something on him, they had his location, and means to bring him in, it's right. But at the same time, too, while we see the power of the feds, we see the power of the Italians, where the lawyer says, I'll take care of them, and they are equipped. They probably got some people in the payroll as well, within the police.
You already know.
So that's a dynamic that, again, we've seen in other shows, but we haven't seen it in Power. So I'm really interested in seeing, as you always like to say, that power dynamic amongst these two units, the Italians versus the blacks, the Italians versus the feds. They are the Italian mafia for a reason. And I want to see them at work. And that's just always been entertaining. That's why there's so many documentaries, docu-series, shows, all these sorts of different things, because it's so popular. So why not tap into it?
Hey, all of it exists, and that's the good part. But we're going to get way more to this character when we get to the second part of what happened to him early on in this episode. But we're going to go through these other ones, so we're not here for 3 hours like we normally here every week. So next we get Kanan and Famous. Famous being the lazy drug addict that he is, still asleep, mad at Kanan. Don't wake me up if it ain't lunchtime. I'd have kicked his ass out of bed the moment you just said that to me. But here, Kanan lets him know they have a meeting set up and they need to get everything together and right. This is the first time of many that Famous lays down the ground rules. I don't want to be a part of the drug game. And Kanan we need rent. Rent's due. We all that is nice. Rent's due, my brother. We need a place to live at. So again, we're gonna get into later on what happens with them. I want to jump into it now, but we're not going to. But what did you think just about, again, this early interaction with them two? Do you think it's just the carryover ramifications from everything Kanan has learned about Famous from the last episode? Because you know how Kanan looked when they told him, man, Famous is a fiend, and I don't trust him. This is just giving more fuel to the fire for Kanan.
Yeah, but also it's weird because I think as I said, it's only a matter of time before Famous is a true liability, because everybody around him is saying it, but Kanan is aware of this. What is interesting is how Kanan, I don't think he's being quite honest about everything. He's giving these caveats to Famous about why they need to do what they need to do, but at the end of the day, all he's trying to do is prove to his mother that he doesn't need her. That's where all of this is driven and written through. So, and when I'm hearing Kanan talk so admirably about how we got to do this and rent and lazy and in one ear out the other. And I caught this pretty early, even before things later on in the episode. So it's all right, I hear you, man. Good plan, good meeting, whatever. We'll see how the money actually stretches, even though that was in question last week in our review. But at the end of the day, this is truly about him just trying to prove to his mom that he can hold it down without her.
This is the first defining moment for a lot of people who maybe in your lives you haven't seen it, right? Of what it's like to be around a spoiled, privileged kid who's had the world given to them, and then miraculously wants to do everything against what the world has given to them. That's what Kanan is right here. Kanan is just a kid that technically he doesn't even need to do this. This is not a necessity for him to ever sell drugs. I know all of us grew up with that kid that just had to hustle no matter what. Like, you got a great life and yet you want to be part of something that is unnecessary for you to be a part of. That's Kanan here, because he just doesn't want to accept anything from his mother because he wants to be his own man. Makes no sense to me, but we're here. Next up, quickly, Lulu, Juke. As Juke is laying down Rain on Me by Ashanti here. With Uncle Lulu. Oh man, what did you think about one? We have not seen Juke this happy in a long time on this show here. As we see with her being able to work with Lulu and having her father be her biggest cheerleader in the background, and we get to see the biggest smile humanly possible. Did you think early on in this episode, like, maybe this is going to be the one where, like, we get a win finally for a Jukebox?
That's all I was saying the entire time. And I'm telling everybody that's watching this right now, throw some W's in the chat for my girl Juke, because she's on the way up. It was good to see her have some good moments. And for Haley to be able to sing and show that vocal range, which she's just tremendously talented. It's just, all of this is a win for me in terms of the character, in terms of the actor. This is a good episode for Juke on the positive side. So yeah, definitely throw some W's in the chat for her. And while you at it too, y'all make sure y'all hit that thumbs up while y'all here. Let's get the thing popping right now for our recap review show tonight.
Hey, and shout out to Daddy Marvin, who tells her, how about you come in before the beat, doing his best Diddy impersonation of giving you the littlest amount of humanly possible to get a producer credit on the track. Just come in a little bit before the take that. I know it's a bad time to use a Diddy joke, but I'm still going to use one.
You know, to talk about Diddy, man, we're going to get to a conversation at a point where where people are going to start to say being able to divide the artist and the mogul outside of the person. It's getting very close to that conversation now. Because
we're going to get to the point of not believing everybody who wants money. Next up.
Man.
Next up, and only reason I'm proud of this because I got a name right. I think I got a name right. I ain't gonna tell y'all how I spelled it to get this name right, but I think I spelled it in a way for me to remember how to say this name. So Kanan meets with Simi about the plan to work it out with the carriers, and Simi decides to go working with him as long as Famous is not involved in the business. I don't know if there's much to talk about here.
Nope.
Just again, at them bringing up the same thing. Famous is a fiend. Yeah. I can't have him in his business. But it was way more interesting to see the way Kanan really had to sell this to this man of saying, hey, I can make it where people ain't coming to your doorstep. I can make it where eventually it's going to get too hot for you, for them to come to your doorstep. With this system, you can make way more money hand over fist without having to absorb so much risk. Ain't much to talk about. It's a very simple thing here. But the thing to talk about is what happens next, and that is Stefano. That's what I'm gonna go with here. Fishman. As he is down at police headquarters with the feds, and they let him know, hey, we believe you're responsible for everything that's happened.
Yeah.
Camacho style, the shootings in Queens, like they blamed him for everything humanly possible. But the only thing I want to ask you here is, were you surprised that at no point in what did he put this off on Rock or anyone else? Because that's what could possibly happen, because Italians have no loyalty to black people.
No, not at all.
But they start bringing this up, I thought that's a possibility.
Right, but they do have loyalty. That's the thing. It's when an Italian snitches, I mean, they become as famous as they ever was, you know, and it's why. And when you talk about the history of the families, like, you can isolate the 2 to 3 folks that snitched, that brought down, you know, majority of the family until another person stepped in place. It would be ill-advised to create that character right now. Sure, down the line, there's another person who's envious of Stefano's influence and power, and then they decide to be the snitch. But not yet. So there is a vast amount of loyalty, but also too, you got to remember the Titans always feel untouchable. They've been thrown all sorts of different things. I mean, when you talk about the not only just the street level things that they were involved with, but when you talk about like the importing and not influence, the like the connections they had with like military operations and funding wars and all that sorts of thing, which is funny how that works, right? The funding wars part. They don't snitch. That's why the ones that did snitch, it was just 3 to 4 of them. And everybody knows who they are. You say a name, you're like, oh yeah, I know that name, but you don't know Sammy that name because
immediately you know who Sammy the Bull is. I don't care how old you are, you know exactly. You know, hold up. You can ask an 8-year-old, Sammy the Bull, they be like, he snitched. I know he snitched. I don't know what he snitched on, but I know he snitched. Like that. You're 1,000% right there. And that's definitely about the Italians feeling untouchable. I just saw a John Gotti doc, and that I told you was giving interviews.
I told you. Listen, I plugged it last week. I'm glad you went and did your work. It's a fantastic docuseries on Netflix because, again, a very popular name who you know the name because of the celebrity around him, but also too understanding that this guy was completely contradictory to what you know when it comes down to the Titans. In the shadows, out of the spotlight, wasn't creating war. I mean, my man had a fireworks show.
What? He was hanging around with movie stars. He was being talked about on a Tonight Show. They nicknamed him the Dapper Don because of his dressing.
He was on the Life magazine. What is happening right now? Or Time magazine. Time magazine.
Time magazine. But here's the fucked up part. Nicky Bonds did one magazine cover, and they wanted to take him down immediately. Frank Lucas wore one fur to one fight, and they said this nigga got to go.
Yeah.
John Gotti was everywhere humanly possible. At that point, there was no difference between John Gotti and Tom Cruise. They were the same person. They were everywhere together. Like, not together, but everywhere humanly possible. He didn't hide one bit. So, like, hey, yeah, I'm in the mafia, but so I'm by the way, I'm gonna murder all of these people behind the scenes, but just know, like, I'm famous. I'm likable. A likable murderer. Like, that's amazing to me that he even got that off. But speaking of likable murderers, next up we have Howard and Raq as they meet to talk about, as Howard says, the feds are at my precinct and they are looking into everything, letting Raq know, like, there's no such thing as you being able to say you're out of the game, because eventually the stuff with Camacho, the stuff that you did that we put off on other folks, is going to come back to you, because this is the feds. These are not local cops. At the same time, Raq asks Howard about his partner, and Howard starts his sympathy tour right here with Raq about how Burt committed suicide, and that's still his partner. Again, this is just a quick conversation about them. I don't know if there's much to talk about here, but it's just still laying the same groundwork and still laying the fear about Kanan. As Howard also brings up, I saw him somewhere around people that he had no business being around and in that situation. And we have to make sure he's not making things hot for us. We all have to stay on the same page.
Yeah, only thing I would add is there's level 2 when it comes to policing. When it comes down to, I guess you could call it policing, but there's level to it, rather the levels between the feds and how police operate. And then I think this is one of the first times that we see folks truly fearing the feds being involved. When the feds have been involved in every show, it has never made a difference. You didn't know any better. You're like, feds, cops, whatever. Here, they're just like, oh, the feds are here. We got to keep it tight. So I do love that. Again, it sets up for just a different tone of the show, although the task force has been involved for every single season of every single power.
This is the first time we've had the feds involved, and it's not with a local cop for some odd reason leading their task force. Like, Blanca ain't leading this task force here. Stacey McMahon is not the leader of this task force. Like, in every other season of Power, someone of local police or government was involved in a federal task force which kind of blurred a line that I think Razor Kanan does a great job of showing you. Nope, that ain't the case here. They are making it pretty known, as later on with Captain Baptiste, who lets you know they are treating me like I'm a nobody in here, because that's the way the feds operate. So again, good to see them talk about this and to see that worry come over Howard and Raq, as we see later on in this episode. But next up, Raq, again, after this, goes to Kanan's place and does exactly what a mother would do. She's questioning everything about him. See Famous laid out, hands Famous money, and tell Famous, hey, if y'all need anything, come to me. And I need to know who Kanan is hanging around with. Here, I'm going to add the next element of it, because this is not interesting until you add the part of Kanan coming back later and laying out the game plan for Famous. And Famous deciding to pull out the money that Raq gave them, and Kanan threatening Famous for 1, letting Raq in, or 2, taking her money, because I don't need her money. You kind of hinted towards it already, that this gives this true definition of why Kanan is doing this here, because of this scene here. So what did you think overall, this whole setup, before we get to their endeavors later on in the episode between Famous and Kanan?
Did my man Kanan say, do not let her in my crib?
And that's Famous. Yes, he did. In Famous's apartment, he told the man whose name is on the lease, do not let my mother in my crib.
Yeah, smack him up a little bit too. Yeah, oh, it's just wild. It's just completely wild. It's completely wild. But as I said, earlier, I'm saying the same statement as earlier. He's doing all this because he's trying to prove to his mom that he doesn't need her. This is great, a defiance of a child.
Yeah, I gotta ask one big question though. After he knocked that money out of Famous's hand, what the fuck happened to it? Did they throw it away? Did they burn it? Or did they pick that shit up and spend it? Or did they pay their rent with it and say, you know what, I'm be mad, but I'm gonna still pay my rent with this money?
Yeah, they put it in the pile. That was just a show of sign of trying to flex. So they needed the money. I'm
about to say, because you knock all that money over, nigga. This money is still here. Like that did nothing at all. We still got it here. Now we're gonna spend it, because Famous can't take it back to Simi and buy more product, because at that point he's buying product from Kanan, which kind of is stupid for him to do. But I digress. Next up, we have Ronnie and Unique working out with each other, as this psychopath again is focusing on business and pushes to Unique immediately. When are we going to be back up and running? And he is really focused on Raq here being a threat. Even when Unique tells him Raq is out of the game, he basically says, she's not. As long as she's alive, she's a problem. What do you think about this confrontation with them? Did you think this would lead to later on the events that we get in this episode?
Dog, this man Ronnie still think he on the yard. You saw his whole outfit. I'm like, bro, like, is he really back locked up? Was this a flashback scene? Like, my man literally came out that
in a white t-shirt and
damn sure
on. We're not working out. No.
Did he have on? I thought he had on like all sweatpants, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I thought he had on jeans.
Nah, that's why I'm pretty sure I think he had on all
the prison fit.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Nah,
that's why
I'm not
I
working
made
out
that
niggas in prison fits. Like, no, where your b-ball shorts at, my nigga? Like, where the little Under Armour shirt to work out in? Not in a white t-shirt.
I would never let that fool spot me. So yeah, but it is interesting, because I was wondering when Ronnie was going to start to focus on Raq and her positioning, and as he mentioned, like, listen, as long as she's still breathing, she's hustling. That's a problem for what Ronnie wants to do. He said, Unique, you should have been took her out. But obviously Unique is doing his thing with her, but Ronnie definitely is not happy about Raq and her positioning, regardless if she's out of the game or not. So yeah, this dude, man, he's unpredictable at this rate. You just don't know what he's gonna say, what he's thinking, and how he's gonna act. But there's one thing for sure: he damn sure would never spot me. you can forget that. Unique. Wow, I literally thought we were gonna have a moment there where he was gonna put the bar on him. I thought he was gonna put the bar on him, like laying on his chest.
I think that's that brotherly thing where he's still like, he's my big brother. Like he's not gonna try to kill me yet. But did you believe here is laying the groundwork, or did you think that groundwork would be laid in this episode that we can see the possible turning of Ronnie against Unique?
Yeah, 1000%, 1000%. He's the villain this season. I think he's going to be like he's going to be that main focal point in terms of it's almost like in BMF how, and I'm not sure which one, but like there was Kanan obviously there, but then obviously you had Lamar come back, and one person's sort of like the background villain, one person like the very upfront and you know the I don't want to say temporary, but like the transitional villain for the season. So I think the Italians is going to be there for a while. You keep them around. We already know we got a new season coming up, so obviously you got more storytelling to do. But I just think that we're going to see Ronnie just be the true villain of this season and just a ticking time bomb at some point, which means that with the alliance of Raq and Unique that we got and just instantly built, you have to turn him against them. It's just the only way. We're not going to flip Unique again and make him a villain against Raq. And I'm pretty sure my man is in love with this chick on the left.
You don't eat butter pecan with anybody. And go back to Warren with them. Those are two things that don't happen here. But next up, we have Raq going back to her old scheming ways here as she goes to meet up with Jukebox and give her all the praise in the world. Baby, you sound amazing. I love your voice. You're going to kill all these girls at this competition. By the way, here's this necklace because I love you. And I'm just so sorry your mom's not here to see it. By the way, do you know what's going on with Kanan? And if you do know, I need to know what's going on with Kanan. And if he comes to you, tells you anything, you need to immediately tell me again what's going on with Kanan. Then it's bye, baby. Kill him. Good luck. What did you do? You think this is part of the reason why Raq is such an interesting character? Because even though this seems so innocent at first, we all know she only gave that necklace out to get information about Kanan. Yeah. Did you sense that, or did you just still sense that even in that moment, Juke was still happy? Down to her, like, really unfolding the chain out and looking in the mirror and, like, really feeling herself there.
Yeah, those initial chains, man, that sends you when you're a kid. You get that, you're on the map. So that definitely was a huge win for her there. Raq is I don't know if I would go as far as saying manipulative, but like I think there's a level of sincerity from Raq when it comes to Juke, but she's still very objective about her knowledge of what Kanan is up to, her protection of Kanan. So honestly, I don't see anything wrong with this. Raq being Raq as the mother, and all mothers are kind of like this. Like
all of them manipulate.
A mother will slap you across the head and love you and kiss you the next second. There's not malice about it, you know. It's just what it is.
I know I'm not the only one who went through this version of 80s and 90s child abuse. Like, you ever get your ass whooped with an extension cord? And then, after getting beat with the extension cord, your mama then tells you, you know, he did it because I love you and I want to make sure that you're all right in life. It's like, wait a minute. You just tortured me. And then you're going to lay that on me. And then you're going to try to cook something I want to eat for dinner. It's like, weird, I can't sit down properly.
Yeah.
For a while. I can't sit down properly. But this is the thanks you give me. Like, it's absolutely crazy. But, you know, black mothers, gotta love it. Next up, we get Unique, who gets to meet with Stefano's connect. Didn't think I would expect him to be Asian, nor did I expect this much racism or Asian hate in this scene. But what did you think about him meeting with the connect laying down the ground rules for Unique, how this relationship is going to move forward with them?
Yeah, so this character Quan, just, you know, introduction, just a player in the game. I don't expect too much more from this character beyond this. He's Vietnamese, and he's going to be the heroin supplier for what Unique is trying to do. I think, it is interesting to kind of hear and it's not unfamiliar when it comes down
No,
to when we just watched Force, and we was talking about how the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans and how they had their conflict, and you would think like, and now you had the Vietnamese and the Chinese, something I had never been familiar with, but just laying down the dynamics. It's territories by way of racism, so you know who messes with who and why. This is why, like, as much as you put emphasis on it, the Italians working with Raq is an anomaly here. These things don't happen at all. So this is a case of you're hearing the Vietnamese have a connection with the Chinese. My assumption is like maybe this is something that doesn't happen, and that's why he says, well, if there's obviously prejudice and racism here, how do you have a connection? It's like, oh, because my wife and my wife is Chinese, so you can't help who you love. Yeah, they told a good story. I'm not mad at it at all. So, I just thought this was just a good moment of just understanding, to kind of, again, the territories by racism. You know, who folks are affiliated with, and how folks can make connections, and how folks are forbidden to make connections because of certain things.
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese are the Nigerians of Asian people. Like, they do think they are better than anybody else. It's naturally gonna happen that way. It's not a bad thing. It's not something that, unfortunately doesn't come with a bunch of history behind it for them to think that way. But I do like the point that they pinpointed in this episode to let you know, because I think that's one thing Black people, we are famous for thinking, is that all groups of certain races or ethnicities of people all are cool with each other. By in turn, though, we acknowledge we are not all cool with one another, but we automatically think everyone else is cool with one another.
Yeah.
But here, I think what's more interesting to me was him telling Unique how the business is going to operate here. We get Unique with the pushback of saying, nah, I got my own way. And him quickly saying, if you don't do it my way, you get absolutely nothing. Like, do you think with that type of pushback against Unique and him eventually having to tell Ronnie about this, do you think this could drive a bigger wedge between them two? Because Ronnie does not want to answer to anybody. But in this play, you clearly got a hierarchy here that you have to follow.
That's all it is. That's exactly right.
See, I'll be coming up with stuff from time to time.
Nah, you got it.
I'm not going to tell you how many racist jokes I wanted to make, but I would prefer not to be canceled because the jokes would fly aplenty for me between Vietnamese and Chinese people. I know lots of Vietnamese people. One of my best friends is half Chinese, half Black, half German, and he tells me all the time, like, "Yo, no, they don't get
can't be three halves, by the way. You could be three.
It is.
One,
if
you could be thirds, but you can't be three halves.
You've met Ant. It's like three halves because he's more than one person.
Fair enough.
Next up, as I already mentioned it, and this is the meeting between Howard and Captain Baptiste. I just love saying his name that way. As him not only informing them that the feds have came in, the feds don't respect them, but the key element here was him informing Howard the feds have not dropped anything on Burke. They are still looking into her entire case, and it's because Adina won't let anything go. And she's doing an all pursuit to exonerate Burke completely here. The biggest question I got to ask here is, and I'm going to combine it with the scene with Howard and Adina later on. Did you think after this conversation, this was going to be the approach that Howard would take with her? Or did you think it was going to be more him possibly trying to strong arm her into giving it up?
Nah, he's a narcissist. So he went the way by manipulation. So absolutely thought he was going to handle it the way he did, which it works here slightly because Adina does have a sense of guilt. She's getting huge societal pressures. I don't know if I go as far as societal, but at least within her sphere of employment and folks.
Her own personal society pressures because she's in a community and that's not accepted. And she's a
Right.
cop, and that's really not accepted.
Well, yeah, and it's not even just that it's just not accepted, but like ethically, they're saying it's a problem, but they said they're calling this misconduct on the job, fireable offense, and they also are just basically outright saying that two women shouldn't be dating. We know about you all, but y'all shouldn't be doing it. So I think that she feels a sense of guilt that it's her fault that Burke committed suicide. And whether she believes that or not, it still lingers in the back of her head. She's looking to make things right. And so when Howard comes in and just adds on to that guilt, her tears, I wonder if they were genuine or if she's still in the back of her head is trying to also prove Burke's story to be in fact true. And again, by way of exonerating her is her motivation. So we're going to see a conflicted person that's riding on a sense of purpose and a sense of guilt. And Howard, being a narcissist, comes in and definitely going to do his best to try to make her feel that. So, you know, that's how I see it playing right now.
Oh, yeah, because he pulled every heartstring in the world.
Yeah.
Down to she's my partner. I may have done some of the stuff, but I always wanted to look out for her. I was always there for her. I just basically wish she'd have loved herself as much as we loved her. And I think it really brought Dana back to that conversation they had of that night when she broke up with Burke. I think that's all that did was bring her right back to that moment. And it leads her to thinking, because I think right now, she doesn't want to buy that it was possibly a suicide, but I think she's starting to think more and more that it's a good possibility that Burke did actually kill herself. Because at that point, she had lost everything. She was suspended from the force. And then the love of her life then tells her, I don't want anything else to do with you. Like, what other recourse do you think someone can have when they just emotionally beaten the way that Burke was?
Yes, and I think that maybe there's a sense, a side of her that's kind of thinking like, damn, I know what that feels like. I mean, she in a way has lost. I'm sure she cut it off with, even with her cutting it off, she still cares about her. She prioritized her dying mother in order to, really send her attention in that direction instead of working on that relationship. And also everything, this crusade that Burke is on. So she's also a conflicted person internally, and I'm sure that there's intrusive thoughts in her head as well, and thinking like, damn, it's now my fault that she killed herself because I didn't believe her. I didn't want to be there for her. I didn't give her anybody to talk to. Like, was I wrong? Was I selfish? What was I supposed to do? Was she right? Was everybody else right? Was it wrong that I loved her, that she loved me? Was it wrong that we had a relationship and we, still was able to conduct our work? All those sorts of different things. And hell, let's call it what it is. Statistically, the highest rate of suicide is from the LGBTQ plus community. So it just fits. And so it's going to be interesting to see a character that I did not think that would be a reoccurring character this season, possibly be a very pivotal character going forward. Could she be the one to take Howard down? It's the wildest thing.
Hey, I got one even deeper. Could she be the one who starts a relationship with Howard?
No. Howard, bro, she's completely gay.
I'm telling you.
She's completely gay. She's the gay one.
I'm not saying it like
that's way too much of a reach there.
It ain't that much of a reach. Ain't like we've not seen this before. The Brad did date Allen Iverson at one point in time. It happens. It happens. You can't help one. And it's a word that you like to use so much, and I'm going to use it here. And granted, it's not technically this because we understand that Howard's a liar and a narcissist.
It ain't this time. I ain't gonna say it. No, it
bonding.
Ain't. It ain't.
She's in a place where she's so vulnerable. Do you think Howard wouldn't sleep with her if he thinks it can help him get away with everything?
No. Number one, I'm gonna tell you why. You sound like one of them dudes on them Facebook groups. Howard ain't thinking about no white woman. Period. Number two, his only focus right now, because he's not even drawn to Rock, which clearly, if anybody he was going to be drawn to would be Rock. My man is still out here paying for ass. Let's not forget that too. He got that daily that daily visit from that person.
He kicked her out. Kicked her out after last season. Remember when she told his information?
He ain't letting that go. He needed more so than now ever, especially since the fact that he just murdered his partner and he's worried about that. He's not gonna do.
If he has sex with his partner's girlfriend,
that's not. She's gay. She's gay.
I'm just saying. Just be prepared when we get to the episode.
They're gonna
where she cries on Howard's shoulder, and it leads to a sexual encounter between them two. And yes, she's gay, and I'm not saying like every person's gay can switch back whenever they want. That's not what I'm saying at all here. But it's a lot of pregnant studs walking around in the world. So we're not gonna act like it don't happen.
It ain't gonna further the story. All it's gonna do is appease those Facebook power groups of their
all
wildest
it would do
theories.
was actually show just how much of a narcissist Howard is, that he would be willing to go to those lengths. I'm just saying.
I tell you what. So I mean, you folks, y'all can let us know if this is happening. If I'm on Earth and is Lucas somewhere on Jupiter right now with his theory. I tell you why it doesn't work in the first place.
Jupiter by episode 6 with me. Just know.
Listen, the way I see this is that sex always isn't to one's benefit to get their way. Now, Unique and Raq is the sample case right now. If this little connection that they have is going to keep Raq out the game, as I mentioned last episode, or would that not even be enough? Or will he fall so deep in that he forgets his whole motivation in playing here? Because clearly he's using this to keep her happy, to keep her outside of operation that's going on here. Yeah. Howard is a narcissist, and in fact, he's orbiting very close to the sun. He's paranoid too. He doesn't want to be too close to Adina because she then begins to start to dig. As I mentioned, with Burke death, Adina steps in place for that same mission. It's going to come off the same way where she's going to get overzealous. Maybe she wants to be in more contact with Howard to find out more, but it will never go. It will never go beyond that. That's as good as saying would Burke have slept with Howard in order to figure out the truth? Absolutely not.
No.
It ain't happening.
But to me, Burke was honest. She wasn't a narcissist. I think Howard's willing to do whatever he has to do to distract her.
Why would he this killer? Why would he this killer then? Why wouldn't that be his approach?
Because the feds are there. You can't kill another cop. Another cop connected to you cannot pop up dead. And not at this point.
Only depends if they can somehow refocus their efforts. Because let's just not forget that they just said that Stefano is involved with all these other folks. If they somehow connects him to the feds, I mean, and let me. I was going to say this earlier, and I quickly forgot. For the sake of a RICO, they need Stefano to be involved with everything. They need it. This is a huge get if they could. I would not be surprised if the feds at some point ask him if he's involved with the assassination of a cop.
Well, I'm about to say, but when we get to the end of the episode, I think it kind of reveals that I believe that they don't think Stefano is responsible for any of this stuff.
True.
Because what they said in that card, like, I think that proves that point. But I also think, I'm just saying, do not be surprised if these two hook up and they show it and it happens. Because right now, for me, that's the path this is leading down. Because two people, well, one person who's going through trauma and the other person who needs to pretend like they are to cover up. I don't think Howard has a moral code right now. And I think they show that also later on in this episode with Howard of why he didn't go in that mosque. He does not have his moral code at all right now. He's willing to do whatever he has to do to keep Kanan safe, in turn to keep Raq safe, and to make sure he doesn't end up in jail.
Did he not go in the mosque because he's spiritually conflicted? He did just kill somebody. Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, and let's not forget too,
he killed somebody before he went in the mosque in season 2.
Yeah, but let's not forget too the extremists within that community. Once upon a time, folks was willing to remove themselves whatever you call it, out of the temple because of what they were up to. And I think maybe it's the same where he's just like, I can't be in there because of what I did. And I think and again, this kind of historically speaking here, I think that there may be more fear for his religion and his conflict with religion, which by way sends you to an eternal damnation. Is there an issue where he knows, like, I've really messed up and I'm just not messing with that? If there's one thing I'm not messing with, it's going in there acting like my stuff is together.
But we're not going to get into it because it's going to cause a big issue for me to say. But it's a term they use for people who look like Burke in his religion that would tell me that's not something that they would look at him getting overly punished for. So I don't think that will be the issue here. I think the conflict is that he understands the job isn't done on what he has to do yet. And sleeping with a dean is the next thing he's going to do. That's all I'm going to say as we go on to the next thing.
Deep in those Facebook groups.
Hey, is Marvin in the club, and we get to see it moving his, as it turned out, Wall Street Connect with these guys as he is moving weight, literally hand over fist here with them in his club. But he brings Lulu with him, and Lulu becomes Lulu. Now, for this scene, I think you can't talk about the scene without connecting everything else that happens with each character. So first, we're going to focus on what happens with Lulu for this scene, and then what we get in the next couple of scenes with him. As one, we see Lulu leaving the club, overdoing it, just like Marvin warned him not to do.
Yep.
And then he walks into a separate club that happens to be playing his father's music. One, I'm going to ask this question because maybe it's me or maybe I've forgotten. When did they bring up their father recorded an album that we have never heard before?
No,
I know their father's musically inclined. Okay.
Yeah, it's the first introduction. I mean, we do get a lot about their father. He said that his father gave up on music, boxing, and life. So there's be a line of possibly depression of sorts here, which could be interesting. I don't want to dive too much into this now, but it could be interesting to see why the siblings go as hard as they do because of that, and also because of their dad, and losing everything would have meant that he lost his family as well too, because that's always the story. And recently watching the Tyler Perry documentary, even with an abusive dad, Tyler Perry is a special person, and he still gave grace to his dad for his hard work and his ethic. Is this a measure of them maybe not having that relationship with their father, but we're understanding as we more about their father, do we learn more about their traits? So we understand why Lulu wants to go so hard in the music, because his dad gave it up and that was his passion, that's in his blood. So this is why he knows he has to do it no matter what it is. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see that. And I guess to just finish up this whole thing, with the lady Shirley, who says she knows all the musicians in town. She's been around for like 30 years or something. They want to turn the bar into a place for artists, and when you say artists, I don't think you're just talking music. I think you also talk poetry, so maybe comedy as well. Who knows? But
it's the 90s. You only talking music. You're talking poetry. Nobody did poetry in the 90s except for Lorenz Tate and Love Jones.
Wait, what? Bro, the Harlem Renaissance? What are we talking about here? I mean, like
in the 90s. The 90s.
Yeah, for sure, but I mean, like, I don't think it ever went away. I think it just became a more of an underground thing. So I think speakeasies are a very big identity in Chicago and New York and probably just those two cities. So regardless of whatever it is, he's created a platform for young artists to kind of get their career on the road. So I don't think there's nothing to make of it right now besides this being a potential place to clean some money. But other than that, we're just seeing Lulu continue to chase his dream of finding and founding artists. And I guess we can go as far as saying honor his dad.
I think that's the good thing is, if not honor his dad, it's chasing the ghost of his dad. Looking for something that can connect him with his father, because he's clearly bringing up that they had no real connection with one another because of the way his father was. But as we brought up before, music holds a lot of those keys to unlock for us. And there's a lot of parallels they're showing between Lulu and Juke.
Yeah.
In their parent relationships as it relates to their music, as these are the two who are musically inclined in the family. And we're seeing what that's doing to them and the way they're using that to connect to parents that kind of abandoned and left them. I think that's the key part with Lulu. But on the flip side of it, we get the other brother doing whatever he can to help people here. As Marvin gets a call while they're at the place, we don't know what it's for. Then we arrive at the Red Roof Inn, and Marvin's there to save Gerald, as he's in a very horrible spot with two crackheads who want money or he's going to die here. What do you think about us now getting to see this arc of Marvin's character?
Yeah,
they're showing a lot of growth in him right here.
That's all it is. Therapy work, man. And we know when we seen Gerald, when they first got introduced to each other at the little therapy session, or where they want to go counseling session, Dave's obligated to do that. They definitely, Gerald has a little bit of a temper, and they, you know, were definitely on opposite sides of the table. But I think at some point they grew a friendship, and obviously this is just not only the growth of their friendship, but the growth in Marvin's maturity and just all things therapeutic. I think it's interesting here is that he chose this relationship that may not mean the most to him, but it means something. And he chose that over business. He left the club, his gold mine, and he said, I got to handle something. That speaks a lot right there about who Marvin is as a person. So, man.
Therapy works. That's the best way to put it with Marvin, is that therapy works here. Because we didn't expect to see this growth from this character at this point. And the point that we are seeing it is amazing. Next up, and I'm again going to combine a couple of things, because a lot of these later scenes don't work unless you get the second scene that happens with them. And this first one is Raq and Unique, as Unique goes to Raq house to pray with her. And before they go inside, we see Raq looking around for the feds.
Yeah.
And letting Unique know, like, hey, everything in this, basically everything's not as sweet as you think it is out here.
Yeah.
And then they do what they do as Patina gets her, fulfills her STARS contract.
Yeah.
But next up, as him and Raq are laying in bed with one another, we first hear Raq mention, I have all this money and I need to find a way to clean it. It's just sitting in the warehouse. I need to find something to do with it. In turn, Unique informs Raq he's found a new connect. And we see Raq lay down the ground rules here with him of saying, I don't want you to bring anything to my doorstep because of what you're getting back into. And then when we get to the point of Unique leaving, again, Michael Myers in the car. No one's explaining.
Broke the steering wheel column. He broke the steering wheel column. They made it very clear that my man definitely has some street level skill of acquiring a car. Oh, like, how'd he get there? It's Michael Myers, bro. That's how.
He just immediately knew where Unique was.
Michael Myers.
He had no Apple AirTag. He had no traceable phone.
Michael Myers, bro. Don't play with my man, bro. He listen. Let's not forget Halloween Ends, bro. My man watched the whole town that prepared the whole movie. They say, "Yeah, we're gonna get him tonight. It's a wrap." They were like 40 deep.
Michael he watched all tonight. Of them. They were so proud too.
I'm about to watch that. I'm literally about to watch that again. I know people hated it, but it's so hilarious to me that they put in a whole 3-day workshop of getting this guy. I mean, they had the deep Confederate
within an inch of his life, knocked his mask off, and something Paul Bearer must have came out of somewhere to say, "My Undertaker," and then all of a sudden, Mike killed everybody humanly possible. But
my man, he got them trumpers out of there. He was like, "Nah, forget all that." They had their pitchforks and everything. He's like, "Nah, I feel by the power of equality, I ain't dying tonight."
May the spirit of Joe Biden save me and push me through these Republicans. shit. But what did you think about these group of scenes between Raq and Unique? Down to this conversation with Raq, which is foreshadowing for what we see later on with Raq in this episode, but especially about Raq warning Unique, one, about the Italians, as she said, they are slick. You need to watch your back around them. Then telling him, I'm out the game. I'm gonna need you not to bring any of this problem, your potential problems, to my doorstep. And in turn, we see he brought possibly the biggest problem to her doorstep.
Yeah, for her, it's all paranoia to me. So she's just doing whatever to kind of have a peace of mind. But yeah, all that matters is how Michael Myers is going to respond, because he's not going to sugarcoat this. He's literally going to confront him and say, I saw you. I know where you were at. What's the deal? And if you say bullshit, I'm going to detect it, as I instantly did when I got out. So will Unique be able to keep it 100? Will Unique tell him about the connect? Probably not. Probably not, because that's just going to be more problems for him. So yeah, it's just a matter right now what Ronnie's next move going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're trying to build Ronnie like Lamar, or try to like one up Lamar in terms of it, this is interesting. This is literally interesting.
They are shooting Ronnie scenes. Every single one of them have been shot like a horror movie.
No doubt.
Like, they are really shooting him like you would a slasher film, which is very interesting to take that angle on this show, because it puts so much fear behind the character, and not in a traditional sense in this genre, the way you build fear. You normally build fear through action. You fear Lamar because of what Lamar was doing to people. You feared Omar because of what Omar was doing to people. You are terrified of Ronnie, and he's just standing still, looking at people, and you're like, oh, this shit is creepy. Like, I love the way they built it, as you brought up last episode, the way the red light flashes off for him with the anger as he's entering in the club. All of it is horror movie building, and if that's what we're going to get from Ronnie this season, I can't wait to see more.
Hey, listen, Styles better stop fucking around before Shudder acquire this. You listen. You ain't gonna have a hit horror show and think that ain't gonna be on Shudder by the end of the day. You better stop playing.
Whole new trailer. It's gonna knife through the raising Kanan. It's gonna be, everything's gonna change.
For real. They're gonna up the budget on the gore, and that whole implied violence earlier. Oh, we seeing all of that. That camera on the other side of the car.
That goes away. Famous, the first one that's gonna die.
Oh, 1,000%.
He gonna kill him with weed in the night. You already know how he going out.
in that little ass hallway, and they definitely gonna tear up that apartment of his. You already know. They're gonna, matter of fact, they're gonna lure Famous with some weed. They're gonna be like, yeah. He gonna see like little pieces of bud in the hallway. He just gonna keep following.
Stop picking it up one by one.
Oh wow. What's this? Oh wow. And then Michael Myers gonna be right at there at the elevator, waiting for his ass. They ain't got no elevator in that place. Oh, it's just steps, but he'll be there.
That's all you gonna hear. Doom. Doom. Doom.
Oh man.
Let's run through things we've already talked about, but highlight them before we get to the most important parts to close out this episode, as we already spoke about it, and that is Lulu being drunk at the nightclub, starting to fight over his father's music. I'm still trying to figure out what he was drinking and fighting. It was probably Jameson, because that's what you drink and fight, because there's no other purpose to drink Jameson but to fight people. Oh man, after that we didn't get the Raq and Unique. We already talked about that. Marvin helping Gerald, we already talked about that. Unique bringing up the new connect to Raq, again, something we've already talked about. And then Howard and Adina and their conversation, something we've also talked about. But next up is Lulu in jail, missing Juke's audition, as we see, as Nicole's father said, a cattle call of people here, as everybody and their mama come out for this girl group. But here we see the nervousness of Juke, because for the first time this episode, you kind of thought, damn, like, just as Juke is happy, they're gonna go down this aisle and completely disappoint Juke because Lulu's not going to show and it's going to have this huge effect on her. So I'm just going to stay here with Juke this whole time here. What'd you think about this setup with them when she's just looking around for Lulu, down to her feeling the pressure? She gets closer and closer, having to throw up. Her meeting this new girl. And I know she's not.
She's from season 1. Leisha, played by Liv Simone. I definitely was like, I'm pretty sure that's who I think that is. So yeah, so that's a quick.
She didn't hit on Juke in the first season, did she?
You talking about the girl that says, "Listen, all this is already a wrap"?
No, not her.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
Okay,
I'm talking about the girl who gave Lulu. Jesus, they gave Juke the mint.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Who in true power fashion or power conspiracy fashion becomes her girlfriend later on when she was a cop that had the short haircut in the actual power universe. Because clearly that's what everybody's gonna think. we already know the angle here.
Oh yeah, you talking about the one that was just in her apartment when she come home? Yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah, you're right. They're gonna go for that. Yeah, I definitely thought this was going to be like the downfall of all the good vibes this episode. Lulu is in jail, and also in the jail scene, the two people he saw on the wall clearly wasn't there because they didn't move at all. And I looked at the credits. I looked at the credits, and they credit Scrap for in this episode, and I kept looking at that. I was like, I don't think that's Scrap.
Supposed to be Scrap? It didn't look like
Scrap. Was it supposed to be Scrap? Was the question. Either way, I've been drunk some good times in my life. College was a wild time. I ain't never got to a point drunk. I've never been in jail either, but I've never been to a point drunk, and I thought I seen somebody. It's never been like that.
No,
so
never.
We have to talk about at some point his sobriety. This is because there's levels to this, and it seems like also beyond this too. If he is seeing Scrap, because those are clearly somebody, whether that was Scrap or not, they credited Scrap in the credits. Whether it was or not, the fact that still weighs on him to the point that he's seeing the power ghost, because you know what that means, tells you that this sobriety has a lot to do with the losses around him. And he is internally grieving, which is why he's hitting the bottle the way he is. So starting to make a little sense here. And at what point will he have the reality check? Could it be Juke that lets him know that, Uncle, you let me down, helps him snap out of it? Again. Because she clearly brought that up.
Yep. Last episode. What you did to me last time, you can't do that again.
Yep.
And
Bingo.
Here he lets her down again.
Yeah.
But in one of the best moments of this episode, if not the best moment of this episode, Juke gets up to sing for all of 20 seconds. And you thinking she's going to come off stage just broken for that reason. Instead, her biggest cheerleader in the world, like, my baby killed it. I don't care what nobody say. You killed it. And if they don't think you killed it, I'm going to kill them.
Yeah.
And I'm do some joy that she has talking to her father going off of that stage. What did you think about that moment?
Loved it.
Again, we've been talking about turning moments between Marvin and Juke. Do you think this is going to be the key turning moment between them in their relationship?
It's definitely a good start. He has to stay consistent in terms of just being her friend, being her biggest support team, not being the dad. And it always gets a little cringy when he says, "That's my baby." He tries to impose that father figure. I'm not saying that the time is past for that, but I don't think that's necessarily what she's looking for. It's never been out of her mouth once that she says, "I need you to be a dad." I think she just needs some good energy in her corner. As long as he can do that, they can build a relationship and they'll be good to go. And I think he stepped up again in a way that this worked for her.
Yeah. Especially again when we thought that she would be broken. Because for you to, like, before you hit your big note, for someone to say, "All right, we good."
Yeah, that's wild.
Like,
it's wild. Damn. It's absolutely wild.
Like, ain't nobody cut Whitney off right before she hit that high note and greatest love of all. That'd be fucked up. Like somebody said, and she hit the and died. That's it. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but if you ain't Whitney, everybody cutting you off. So don't you dare. Don't you dare. Oh
Oh,
man, oh
shit.
man, oh
Oh
man.
man, yes, yes. And next up, we're gonna focus on Kanan here, and we're gonna close out Kanan for this episode here, as the money is coming in fast. Again, powerisms. I mean, between him and Tariq, no kids make money faster in power. But his plan with the Courier Boys is just crazy profits. As Famous says, it's too much to keep up with. This is the 90s. Like, they don't even have proper cell phone service. I'm confused on what they're keeping up with here between beepers and the big ass cell phones. But we see what happens as this business is growing more and more for them. Later on in their last scene, we see the corner boys dropping the money off the Kanan, and right across the street is Michael freaking Myers. He ain't moved. He ain't say nothing. All he did was stare at them. As Famous sees over his shoulder, like, hey, Kane, somebody's watching us. And Kanan turns and says, oh, that's Unique brother. He got out because of that dirty cop. He says this. He starts looking back at Ronnie. Ronnie doesn't move. He's just staring him down as both of them are like, we need to get the hell out of here. And now, what'd you think about the way that they ended this with Kanan, Famous, and Ronnie in this fashion?
I loved it. Just keep giving us more Michael Myers. It's crazy to say. I just want to, because we always give love to the actors. I thoroughly enjoy Antonio and Mackay doing what they do as Famous and Kanan. And while the series for 3 episodes in for the season has not focused on them much, it's been the same thing. They need to make money. He's a fiend. They're buddies, whatever.
Yeah.
The fact that Michael Myers is making his presence all around the family is all sign me up. Somebody get shut on the line right now because this is about to get ugly. And I'm all for that. And it's spooky season. And I'm all for it because this man is on demon time. And I love how he's popping up. I mean, they shot this scene amazingly to really make you feel something with 0 words from the guy. He's just looking. You're just like, oh nah. Oh nah. Cut this off. Cut this off for this motherfucker be out my window right now. Love it. But yeah, everybody
staring at you from across the street. You're like, wait, nah. Like, you don't even give us a verbal threat. Nothing.
They absolutely have to put him on across the street and a bus drive by and he disappear. Take my money right now.
Nigga.
They got to do it. I don't care
what
you say about the foolishness. They got to do it. They have got to do it. Let my man be standing across the street and a bus go by.
It's gonna be with Raq. It's gonna be with Raq. She gonna be walking down from the new salon and she gonna turn around and she gonna think she see him. He just gonna be staring at her. Then the bus gonna go past, and then he ain't gonna be there no more. And she gonna be like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Like we know how that's gonna end up. It writes itself for us here. But next up, Unique meeting with the Chinese Connect at the carryout. I know it's way too many jokes about black people, carryouts, the hood, and selling drugs. Insert all of them at this point, because clearly that's the angle that they're going after here, of them selling drugs in the carryout, down to Unique telling them it's about time we add new items to the menu. I don't believe there's anything else to talk about here. It's the connect that was already established. We kind of knew exactly why Unique had to go to them and what's going to be set up by Unique going to them. So there's nothing else to talk about. Next, we get Lulu as he's fresh out of prison, jail, wherever, holding cell, and he goes back to the club to apologize to the owner for his actions. But in turn, the best way to put it, the owner helps establish or reestablish Lulu's love for music in this moment by him volunteering to help out. Where do you think this angle is going to go with Lulu for the rest of the season?
Don't know. I really don't know.
Mm.
And it's one of those type of things where we say, hopefully they make us care. But I just definitely do not know where this one's going. This is the one I'm like, okay, he likes music. We know that. That's been a thing. Get out the game for music. You know, whatever. It's did you discover somebody and they become an artist and we just get another artist on the show? I don't know. But as of right now, I have no clue. I have no clue at all.
Now that we have a stage, that means maybe, just maybe, he can get Famous back in the booth.
There we go.
Famous can write a follow-up.
He'll do anything for weed. So yeah, that's exactly how you get him back. Just what it is.
Hey,
just what it is.
Lulu's heart's going to be broken when Raq buys his club from under him and says, "Nigga, did I tell you? Still owe you."
Yeah, yeah.
But speaking of Raq owning things, first we have Raq at the beauty salon because Raq goes to she get her hair done the same way every week. Like it ain't. She ain't getting individuals. She ain't getting Cynicles. She ain't getting Bohemian Twist. Raq, like, give me that flip with my bamboo earrings, and that's all I need. But here, her hairdresser is talking to her coworker about the shop and about the owner needing to sell it. Yeah. We all knew this was going to lead to one thing and one thing only. It was pretty obvious what it was going to lead to. And that was, this is a way for Raq to clean her money. Yeah. This is something that she was talking about from the beginning of doing. And at the end, we get Raq walking with the guy, telling him, I'm going to give you one number only, and it's going to be a cash offer. And I'm going to buy it. This is where the big reveal is made. As across the street, the feds are taking pictures. And the first thing they say in the car, she doesn't look like a queen pin. But that means someone has told them Raq runs everything, which kind of goes against everything they told Stefano at the beginning of the episode. So what do you think about this episode closing out with the feds monitoring who they believe could be the person running everything?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to hold no federal weight because, I mean, this goes back to force. Are y'all really about to go after Tommy when you have all these other big players right here in your hand? Do not do this to us. If you're going to say that she runs a division of the projects or division of, Jamaica Queens, then fine. But the Italian mob runs Jersey in New York for many generations. Yeah. Let's not divert from the truth here. We're in the 90s, which means y'all done had 30 years of this already. Plus, probably at this rate, let's not get stupid. Let's please not get stupid on the show here. Let's just not. That was a little bit of like, y'all better clean this up next episode. Do not sit here and say she's the leader of this. No.
Could it be they believe that she's the queen pin of the projects? Because one thing the feds would know, Italians ain't getting involved in any overly dominant black areas. That's just not happening.
Yeah, they don't see any money in it, and that's fine.
All the bodies have been in the projects.
It's fine. I'm cool. I'm cool with whatever approach besides them putting her at the top of the totem pole. We better not see a chart in the FBI headquarters with Raq on the top. I swear.
Oh man.
So like, yes, if they're white and they're just like, I'll hit that, and they don't think that a black woman could be in any power. So if that's your not only your fetish for all of whatever reason, but if that's your acknowledgement of who she is, then fine. But there is still the Italians above that. You might want to focus on that. But again, Rico, it's not the word that's been used yet, but I could imagine that if you have a task force, they got to be going for Rico, so they need to get all the players because they bust them all at once. That's how this operates. They do not say, we got the top person, that's it. They knock down all the players. And if that's the case, then you need Raq on the radar and understand her connections. Yeah. And is that the end, or is there a trail behind her? Which the trail behind her is unique now. So you have to kind of just keep going down the totem pole more and more. So that's the only way that they make this make sense to me. They better not sit here. I swear to God, episode 4, we better not see that chart and Raq is on top. I will be a black box on this joint next week, and I will not show my face.
Don't worry about it. First, you're going to see the chart, and they're going to have Raq pitch up top and say, okay, we know this goes against everything, but it's clear she's running everything. And then Howard, they're going to do a cut scene, and Howard's going to be in bed with Adina. And she's going to be shaking her head like, I can't believe I slept with him. But she's still going to hug up against him because it gives her comfort. Just know that.
And then they're gonna show Kanan getting the Daily Bugle, and on the front of it, "Spring me, Spider-Man," and Raq's drug, the new player in the drug gang, Raquel Thomas. Yeah, that's for sure happening.
So again, anything else or anything I failed to mention in episode 3, Open for Business?
Nope. That is it for me on my end. Definitely, folks, let us know in the comments your thoughts, your theories, your predictions coming in for next week. But also let us know things we missed, things we got right, things you're buying in on, your theories about this episode, things we missed, whatever it may be. Let us know all of that in the comments. I believe there was something else I was going to say, and I'm just like quickly looking at my notes, but I don't remember where it is. Nope. I think I'm good. So
again, audience, let us know, one, what do you think about Michael Myers or Michael Ronnie Myers and exactly where they're going with this character? Let us know what you think about Raq and this new business endeavor. How will this work with the feds watching her? And is this going to be a sufficient way to clean her money, or is it going to cause more problems? And finally, let us know what you think about Howard and Adina Howard. And when are they going to get together? And how would this affect Burke's passing when her partner and her ex-lover start sleeping with each other? Again, smash that like button, like, comment, subscribe. We have so much content coming your way, full power.
And don't believe shit you say.
We've already presented.
Damn it, dude. Damn it.
Hey, check out everything we already have for content-wise. Interviews, as you know, we drop those possibly weekly with this show. So possibly an interview on here that you can come check out right after this episode, because you're still going to watch us first and then go check out whatever we have as an extra surprise for you. But tune in next week. Peace, people.